Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome to Love, Laughs, and Lessons. And it is Thursday, and we're all here again. Super excited to be with you. And we're here with another awesome matchmaker to share with you. But before we introduce our guest, I want to hand it over to my amazing co-host, Denise. Take it over.
Well, I am Denise. I am a relationship coach and certified matchmaker with a little gay book, working with the delightful and wonderful Dr. Frankie. And our guest today is Tony Smith of Denver's Cupid. Hey, Tony. Yeah. So Denver's Cupid specializes in executive matchmaking for exceptional LGBTQ singles. They are local, regional, and national. And like us, one of the few LGBTQ matchmakers in the US. And they live by the art of match connection. So Tony has been doing this since 2020. He has connected over 700 participants and has successfully matched over 300 couples, impressive, with over 1,800 for new friendships and over 40 for business connections. So Tony, tell us about you, tell us about your amazing company and how this all got started.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me. And it's wonderful to be with you two lovely people. And yeah, so Denver's Cupid was officially started in 2020. But one thing that I feel like I've been matchmaking my whole entire life. I started out with my mom throwing all kinds of Filipino disco, bringing people together in every kind of way. I've always been chair here in Denver for 18 years, where my job was to bring 350,000 people together at a time every 4th of July weekend. It's very similar to the Sausalito Arts Festival, which you two are more happy. Happened in 2016 and who got elected. Well, I was inspired to run for office after that person was elected. And the reason why I was inspired to run for office was the government.
Hold on, you guys. I think my Wi-Fi is choppy.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I could hear you.
Did you hear Tony the whole time? I can't tell.
I did.
Is it, you think you're not hearing it choppy at all? You're not seeing my internet go in and out?
No.
All right, then we can keep going. I'm just worried if I can't hear the flow because it's going in and out, so I can't ask, like I don't know what's happening. So
Okay.
maybe, yeah, let's see. Just keep going and then just jump in if I don't jump in.
Okay, so let's take it, Tony. Can we take it from you were going to run? Just let's go back one sentence.
Okay.
Sorry.
No worries.
Okay.
So I was going to run for office. No, wait, actually, no. So the election of 2016 inspired me to run for Denver City Council. And one thing that pushed me to run was also the fact that people would say, Tony, you know everybody in Denver. You need to run for office. And with my spirit of connection as my platform, ran for office. While I didn't win, I took a sabbatical afterwards and took that experience to say, what am I going to do next? And the next thing the universe said, she said, you're a matchmaker. And I said, what? And I quickly looked into it and found that there were hardly any LGBTQ matchmakers in the United States, and let alone none in Denver. So it inspired me to look more into it. And that's how Denver's Cupid got started. And also during 2020, we were all left to be pretty much by ourselves or in your own home. And so that was also a perfect time to create Denver's Cupid and also continue to bring people together. And not only is Denver's Cupid about private, personal, executive matchmaking, but it's also about events. And speed dating was a way to bring people together that was also part of the inspiration behind what happened during COVID.
Yeah.
So does the speed dating help you in searching for matches for your clients?
Absolutely. I'd say that number one, not going to lie, being an event person and someone who loves throwing events, I love throwing speed dating events because seeing the sparkles in people's eyes and knowing that every 4 or 5 minutes, people are meeting other people. And that is truly what makes the world a better place. But yeah, I love speed dating, and it does create leads for personal matchmaking contracts for sure, without question.
I know for us, it's helpful. Just you get to interface with more and more people. And then sometimes those folks that attend our events, we end up introducing to our matchmaking clients. So that's one. There are many reasons why we love hosting too, but that's definitely one of them.
Yeah,
And
and
talk,
also,
go ahead.
sorry, along with what you just said, Frankie, yes, I will find potential dates for my existing clients at speed dating. And then I'll also put my clients into speed dating because everyone can use the practice of going on dates. And I think it's also so important for everyone, clients and otherwise, at speed dating to reflect on, what did I say? What do I want? What do I need? And over, you hear yourself and you hear others say what they need and want. And so it's test driving a bunch of cars all at once.
Yeah. Practice, practice, practice. So I'm on the same page. And that was exactly what I was going to ask you. I was going to ask you, have you ever sent clients out for speed dating? But yeah, you absolutely do. So
What's some good dating advice you can give our listeners?
I'd say number one, maybe even a pre-dating question or thing to think about is doing the work on yourself first and not looking for something to complete you, but to do the work on yourself that makes you complete first, and not look for something that to fill a void, or to, the old saying of that person completes me, or I'm looking for my other half. And something that is kind of funny, and perhaps to our listeners in particular, when I met my husband 20 years ago, I just felt like he complimented me, not completed me, but complimented an already complete person. But I used to say, oh no, he's not my other half. He's just my other whole.
I like
And that doesn't sound so great with our community. So I stopped saying that, but
Oh,
he's whole, I'm whole. He's my other whole.
I
oh,
love
oh. You went there. That got me naughty.
WHOLE.
Ah,
Yeah,
I was slow on the uptake.
WHOLE.
Sorry.
No, we get naughty around here. It's fine. Keeps it interesting. So tell us about how you so you coordinate the dates, right? Do you show photos?
Yeah, I think that's a huge thing with all matchmakers, period, right? Whether you show photos or not, and to each their own for all kinds of reasons. But my personal philosophy is I do believe in blind dates. And the reason why is today we have so much technology with photos and video and bios and then social media, all these things. And when you see a picture and a bio and a story, you create a story in your mind, and that can bias you before you even meet them in person. And that's also why I love speed dating, is because it's you and your intuition. That's it. And so when you go on a date with Denver's Cupid, I do believe in blind dates. My parents happen to have met on a blind date, and that's another case, another story altogether. But I want you to go into your date, with absolute hope and belief that you deserve everything in the world, and that this person could be everything or just a friend or nothing at all. And that's all good. But I want you going in with your intuition, and also going in with the faith that Tony is not going to put me on a crappy date. That's also something that I do on the onboarding process. I tell people, I promise you, and as part of my Tony festo, like a manifesto, I said, I will never just put you on a date for date's sake. that's against everything I believe in. And the only people you're going out on a date with are people I've highly vetted that I feel you're a good match for. And like most matchmakers, we look at the body of people that you have dated. I always ask my clients to send me people that they've dated or find attractive. And then I'll plop this person that I think is a good match into their family of people, virtually, in my mind. And I play dolls. Hey, Barbie. That was such a good movie, by the way. But I play Barbies, virtually with these two and say, will this person fit in their world, both physically and also from a match point of view? And I also match based on values, as we all do. And I make an icebreaker question in the matchmaker toolkit before each person goes on a date, so that when they go on the date, they have something to talk about that they have in common already. And it breaks the ice. And so with that knowledge by the clients and their date, knowing that all this research has happened, and also importantly, this date tip that you were asking about, Frankie, is open mind, like no expectations. And I also say, when you go on the date, don't wear your wedding dress or your wedding tuxedo to the date. This is not about, is this person my forever person? No, your goal, date one, is there a connection? And there almost always is. And, a matchmaker's goal is to have them go on a second date. That's the whole thing. It's like they found enough in common, they made a connection, and they're going on a date. So some of those tips, yeah.
Yeah, really good. It sounds like you give your clients a lot of support, which is amazing and great. And as matchmakers, the more tools we give our clients, the more successful they can become. Like we're really into that as well, making sure we're preparing them. But let me ask you, because there's so many misconceptions about matchmaking, what do you run up against? What do you hear are some of the misconceptions that may stop someone from, signing on with you as quickly as maybe they should?
I'd say that the number one thing is there's just some people have been less than ethical about how they run their business. And it's not just matchmakers, but it can be also some of these other dating services. And something that I always tell my clients during the onboarding process is, I am a matchmaker. I am not a dating service. Dating services is just putting you through a bunch of dates that they've never really even vetted. And I tell my clients 100% of the time, I have vetted your match. You're not going out with some random person that just happens to check a couple boxes. And I've had friends call me and just say, tell me about so-and-so service. And I said, I'm so sorry you had that bad experience. It's, it'll be like what they call a matchmaker for hundreds of people. And they just work to check boxes and they've never interviewed anybody. And then they go on this date. They're like, I don't even know why we went on a date. Everything was wrong about that person. And that's something that I love to tout that matchmakers do. And that is, we highly vet our people out big time. And I think the other thing is, how different we are than any app. We're a human being. We're old school matchmaking. It's intuition. I feel like we all have a certain degree of intuition. If you see two people together and you're like, oh yeah, they're totally a couple, like Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez. Why did they break up in the first place? Well, she probably just wanted to, do less Hollywood and just a good old basic guy to raise kids with. Well, we see where that went. Well, I don't know how they're doing now, but anyways, you see two people together and you just feel good about it. And you playing virtual Barbies, you're like, yeah, kiss, 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 kiss. Yeah, I think they get along great. But an app won't do that, and there is success with apps. So I think that also another thing to put out there is matchmakers. I encourage people to continue doing online dating because it's more practice for them. They go on real dates, vetted dates with the matchmaker, but then they're also going to still be meeting people in other ways, like the produce section at the grocery store, stuff like that. So I think those are some of the things that are out there that have been challenging for us.
Are they willing?
The melon.
Are your clients willing to go online still when they work with you? When you say, I encourage you to keep, go online, do the dating app thing. Are they willing to do that?
I think I've had both. People say, no, Tony, I'm here because I'm sick of apps. And that's why I hired you. Great. Then others are like, yeah, I'm still doing both. I'm meeting guys in other ways. So that's the other thing that Denver's Cupid provides is I instantly expand people's options. And that means I hear what they want and I find the social circles they need to fall into, because the more people they meet, the more opportunities they have. And also, it's not just for self-discovery, but it's friends, it's dating. And I'm like, ooh, tell me about so-and-so. You met them at what? And what are you guys doing? What did you like about that person? And then they'll also say, Tony, I shouldn't have gone on that date. It was why I picked you as a matchmaker. But I think, I think everything, endless possibilities. That's what I preach. And I said, dude, try it all.
I feel like it helps them to see what's really out there, and they themselves get to see it with their own eyes, that we are actually doing a lot of weeding out. So it's helpful. Otherwise, they have this fantasy, this idea that we just are like, we can make magic happen. And I think a lot of us do make magic happen, but humans are humans and they're imperfect beings, that, we can have our ideal perfect person in our mind, but the possibility of us finding that person for them that embodies every single thing that they're looking for is unlikely, right? Like, we do the best we can to find amazing matches that people who, embody what they have asked for, but we have to also be realistic. So I feel like when they're out there on the dating apps, they really get a sense of what's out there.
Exactly. And I do also tell people early on and often what you just said. I said, we are matchmakers, we're not magicians. And also, we're going to do our very best to make magic happen, but also that is also where their self-work and self-awareness comes into play. I'm like, listen, before I met my husband, I went through a lot of therapy and about why am I not in love and and you have to do the work. You have to check your baggage. Was it real Louis Vuitton or was that fake Louis Vuitton? And all those things. It's just so important for all of us to do our own work and not project out our challenges. And that's also something that I'm dealing with some of my clients right now. And that is, their baggage isn't actually fully checked. And they're projecting some of those fears onto these people I'm putting them on dates with. And when I do the date wrap up, the other person that they went on a date with says, gosh, they talked all about some of their past challenges. And that's also another dating tip is date one, light, simple, easy. Date two, start diving a little bit deeper, but you don't want to give them there's a time and place for sharing all of our personal war stories. And if you feel the need to do it date one, you might just scare them away. Date two, you might scare them away. But as you get to know somebody, you fold in like a beautiful baker, like these layers of the reality of this person. But I think it's timing and delivery that's really important, but not all at once in a steamroller, like, whoa, I just scared them away because of all these past issues.
Yeah. And for them to have fun. Like I always say, like there's all these things that are going on, but if you're not having fun, like I used to say, if your cheeks aren't aching at the end of that first date, something's wrong. You got to be like laughing and, flirting and just having a good time. You should walk away from the date feeling like, wow, even if it wasn't a love connection, I had a really great time and this is a great person. Mm-hmm. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But part of that is dependent on ourselves, right? Even if it's not a romantic match, you can still have cheeks that are sore from smiling, and you just, right? You bring positivity, curiosity, laughter, lightness. And so when you say, Tony, like, keep it, I forgot what word you used, but the first date, it should be pretty light and nothing too intense or, too dark. What would you say? Like, what would you say is acceptable to talk about? What topics are acceptable on a first date?
I think it's about getting to know what makes someone tick. And so that's why I start out with something that they have in common that they love. They're both into music, and one's a piano player, one is in the gay men's chorus or something, and sharing that love. And then it's because when you come from a place of love, you're going to talk about more loving things, and then other things you love will come into play. You're like, oh, you love to travel, where was the last place you were at and what's on your bucket list? And then you kind of see through those things that make people light up what makes you light up? Like, does that make me light up? And if what if they're like, I am so into Star Trek and da 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 da, and if the other person doesn't like that, like, oh, my ex was into Star Trek, it's like, well, find the joy, in those things. I think it's, it's not really great to, one of those first date tips is talking about exes, talking about health issues,
Yeah.
talking about your last bad date. I mean, it's just keep it light, keep it above board meaning positive, constructive, fun, those kinds of things.
I think it's easy to talk about bad dates because people go on so many bad dates now from dating apps, and they can lament about how shitty their experience is on dating apps. But it's right when you start talking all about that, I feel like it takes the romance and the sexy right down. Now we're going down the friend zone, and we're both agreeing to having this really shitty experience.
I'd say another date tip is, and I've heard this before, and that is, how are you treating your server? Because that gives a big tip to the date you're going on with how you are with all people. And if you're a rude asshole, where you whatever, it's just like, however you treat your servers, I think how you treat everybody.
Yeah. And people care. Clients will say a deal breaker is someone who mistreats restaurant staff, servers, wait staff. Yeah. So that's
homeless people. I heard that a lot from feedback. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
they were mean to the homeless person. They were mean to, they went through the door and they didn't even wait to see if anyone was behind them. So yeah. So how did we become such poor daters? Like,
well, I think, there's so much instant gratification out there and so much social media out there that our attention span is lower. So you feel like if you're on an in-person date, or even a Zoom date for that matter, you want to know right away if this is the magic. And like all good things in life, like a book is a long book. It's not a quick read. You have to let it unfold. The apple pie takes a few hours to cook. It's not a bag of microwave popcorn. So I think we've gotten a little cynical because we want things a lot faster, and the most beautiful things in life take time.
Yeah. Slow, right, Dr. Tony? That's your phrase, slow date. I love that. Take your time, get to know someone, let it unfold, let it breathe.
Yeah, and that includes people moving in really quick with each other, and that's okay. There can be whatever you consider love at first sight, or however fast you want to move. But my husband and I did not move in together for almost 2 years, and that's another thing, is letting it breathe, going through all the seasons. Traveling together is a really good way to see how someone really is, especially international girl. Oh, that's some stress.
I think that's a must, to travel together before you decide to live together. Even if somebody's not into international travel, that's fine. Then travel somewhere in the US. Yep. But people show you, right? When they feel stressed and they're out of their comfort zone, they don't have their creature comforts.
Right. Waiting for a flight, waiting in an airport, sitting on that airstrip, hotel reservations. Yeah. All the pressures.
All the things are out of our control.
That's right. And it's so funny. My mom used to say, like, we're 4 girls. She would say date through all seasons. And we never quite understood what that meant. She would go date through all seasons, but that's what she was talking about. Yes. All situations, so how do you prepare your clients for that? How do you get them out of that instant gratification mindset and open to, that the process of slow dating and taking your time and being the chooser?
I'd say that it's really important with that dating toolkit that I was referring to, about putting yourself in the space of endless possibilities. This is going to be great. Tony never throws me on a bad date. It's always a fabulous, new, hot, trendy restaurant. And so it's going to be a great experience. And to have also no expectations. I think that's so important. How many times have we all gone into a movie that was overhyped, and then you go on it, you go to the movie yourself and you're like, oh, well, I put too much in my brain about that. It's because you had expectations. So if you go on a date with no expectations, then you're like, oh, great, I have nothing to lose. I'm meeting this great new person. And regardless, I'm trying a new restaurant and meeting a new person, and that's it. And Tony says, this may or may not be my forever person. So I think it's that mindset of endless possibilities and taking it slow.
That's a really good point.
Yeah. Yeah. And do you set up the dates? I heard you say they're going to go to a fabulous new trendy restaurant. So do you set the dates for your clients?
I do. Everyone says, Tony, you need to have your assistant do that and all that kind of stuff. I really like setting up the date, and the date, includes, so I'll go and find out what the latest greatest is. So eater.com is a national organization, and they have Eater by city. So I use Eater Denver, and they have a 38, they have a list of 38 mainstays, and then they also have the hot list. So I always pick something that's there and highly rated. And then I also will make the reservations for them online. And on the reservations, I will say, this is a Denver's Cupid blind date. Please don't seat them until they both arrive. And I also, as part of this date experience, I create that icebreaker question. And in this dating toolkit that I give my clients, it also lists some of those tips, like arriving early and, what are you wearing and all those kinds of stuff. Research the restaurant you're going to. Then also take a walk around the block before the date and just say, this is awesome. I'm on a date. I'm going to have a great time. And then also a fun thing that I do, since they are blind dates, I give no descriptions, no phone numbers, no nothing. And this might be corny to some, but I love it, is I say, pick up a flower you found along the way and look for the other person with a flower in their hand. That's your date. No one else is going to be carrying a flower. I know it's, but they always love that. Then that's actually a conversation starter about where they found their flower. And then one person said, I couldn't find a flower, so I bought this arrangement. But how cute is that?
Okay.
And who doesn't like to wear a flower in their hair or behind their ear?
Ah,
Yeah.
yeah, I love that. They just show up with a gift. They don't even know each other. I didn't realize that you don't describe what the person looks like. They literally have no idea. So how are they able to find one another?
So that is, they'll meet at the restaurant, and I'll say meet outside the restaurant or at the host desk, and they'll look for the person with a flower. The thing I do in my matchmaker search is I do a mini bio teaser that I use in social media, and it says matchmaker search. If you go to Denver's Cupid Instagram, you'll see some matchmaker search. Are you for him? Are you for her? And it'll say him, 50s, 60s, whatever, cis male, and loves hiking, biking, and some other cute things. And then him or her, these are aspects that this person is looking for. And then I'll bonus, like former Boy Scout, or bonus, really wants to try scuba diving, and that is how I will solicit potential matches for my clients. With that mini bio and a picture, I'll work with other matchmakers. And that's another thing that a lot of people don't know, is matchmakers work with other matchmakers around the nation to find their clients, their ideal long-term relationship. And that's the only time I share pictures is beforehand, is when I share a mini bio with another matchmaker.
Yeah. So the collaborations are big. And I think you're right when you said a lot of people, a lot of clients coming into our services don't realize that we're connected with one another, and that we join forces to help find that right person for you. So can you talk about a little more about collaborations and how that's worked? Give us a success story from a collaboration.
Oh, yes. So today, a little bit later today, I'm doing a Zoom call with one of my clients that's going on a Zoom date. So one of the questions in the matchmaking process is, are you willing to relocate? And I think a lot of, successful people at a certain point in their life, they're like, listen, I'm willing to move anywhere, girl. Like, send me anywhere. I'm good. So later today, I'm doing a Zoom mock date with my client. I want to make sure their lighting is good, because you know how many people don't even know how to do good lighting. I'm like, girl, you are backlit and you have a black screen behind you. You could be, God knows, a serial killer for all we know. So I want you to have good lighting. I want the camera at eye level. I want you to have something interesting behind you to talk about that says something about you. And we're also going to, and in speaking with the other matchmaker of this client, they're both world travelers. So their icebreaker is going to be a found object from their house from a travel, and to talk about it because they haven't met in person. But the other thing I would say is a success story that you asked for. I had a client that awesome younger Jewish professional, only wants to date other Jewish guys because he wants a big Jewish family. Awesome. And that's one of those boxes that matchmakers check. Or, okay, you're looking for this. I'm your headhunter, girl. I'm going to do whatever you need. And so working with another matchmaker, I put him on Zoom dates coast to coast. And both of those turned into in-person dates. And one of those turned into a double date with me and my husband. Mm-hmm.
Oh.
How does that happen?
Yeah, because well, my clients here in Denver.
Denver.
One was from LA, and I put him on a date near the airport because I was like, okay, this is one of those things matchmakers do. We just do what it takes to get them together. They're like, hey, we're both going to be near LAX. So I found this restaurant, a beachside restaurant, and their first date in person was close enough for both of them to get to the airport, but have
Nice.
a date on the beach. Like, that was fabulous.
Yeah, that's sexy. I like it. You're really vested, and I love that. Very passionate, and it definitely shows through. I think a lot of people think too about matchmakers that we're not so. The reason we do this is because we're so passionate about love, right? It's like we love love, and then we get to relive it virtually through our success stories. And I think that's what makes us good at it also, right? Because we're really in it to win it, not just for you, but for us too.
Absolutely. I mean, you got to really love it because it's hard. It's not an easy endeavor.
Yeah. And there are times when they're like, hey, it was a great date, but that wasn't the person, and we have to deal with, the happy stories and the ones that are not so great. I haven't had, well, no, I did have one really, really challenging client, but, and that's okay. All businesses, all people have challenging clients.
Normal. Yeah,
Yeah,
we
it is
all have,
normal.
challenging client. I have one client who, I continue to introduce her to potential partners that are fantastic. And one after the next, it's like, there's always something wrong. So she's getting in her own way because they are exactly what it is that she needs, but she can't see it. So
yeah, and that's something I had to do with one of my clients. And this is a different one, but my client was shooting down her dates in the first 5 minutes. And I said, remember, endless possibilities, and you're just making a connection, but you're shooting them down. And in the wrap up, your date is telling me you're shooting them down before they get a chance to start.
Yeah.
And some of those more challenging clients, you're like, I'm in the back of my mind, I'm not going to offer renewal. And that's another thing that people don't realize is just like your therapist or your doctor, you go back to them, over and over. And I've had many clients renew, which is really a testament, which I'm super proud of, is like, wow, they're having a great experience and they want to continue. And I think that's something that, another thing that maybe people don't know about matchmaking, and what I certainly do, is at the end of a contract, I say, here's everything I promised, and here's everything I delivered. And what do we always know? You have to over deliver, under promise. And I quantify everything. You went on this many dates, you met this many people, you went to these events, and here are my services. So it really is bespoke, custom work that matchmakers do that a lot of people don't realize.
Absolutely. And for you, because we're really selective who we work with, as well. It's got to be a good fit first with us. Like this is the first relationship is, you and the matchmaker. And are you that way as well? Are you
Yeah,
very
that's
selective?
a really good point. I think that like any new business, when you're first starting, you're like, I got a customer, but then as you go along, you start realizing the kinds of people you like to work with and the ones that are more challenging. But yeah, in my process, I do a 20-minute Zoom interview, and I can tell really quick. I think any of us can tell really quick. It's that intuition. It's our experiences of where they're at in life. I try to, in the onboarding process, before they even make an appointment, I ask questions to kind of start seeing where they're at. It's like, oh, how cute. You're 21. You just came out, and I think you need to date. Why don't you come to my speed dating? I said, personal matchmaking is really for the most part, for people that know they're more tuned in to what they're looking for. And that's the kind of person that's a better fit for matchmaking than someone who doesn't know anything. But on the other hand, that could also be a great thing. Like, listen, I'm attracted to everybody, which is also super hard. Pansexual. Oh my gosh. Oh, that's a challenge, but it's all good.
I love that though. When somebody's really open to the whole spectrum, it's like as a matchmaker, you get so many choices and options. So you can just keep like get honing in closer and closer and closer. Um, so I like that. The more liberty a client will give me as a matchmaker to just like my favorite clients are like, you're the expert.
That's right.
I believe in you. I
Do
wouldn't
what you
be
do.
here. Exactly. Do what you do. Because clearly I'm here because I haven't been getting it right. So I believe that you can make it happen. So let's do it. It's like I just commissioned for a piece of artwork. And the artist said, well, what do you want? I gave her an idea, just an idea. And then she kept checking in with me. How about this? How about that? I'm like, you know what? You're the artist. Take it away. I gave it's Molly Ringwald. And I was like, I want to have some like leather and lace and like mixed art. And then that's it. So it's like, she's the artist. I don't want to tell her and give her all this direction and take away
Yeah.
from her
She's the
talent.
professional. Yeah.
Exactly.
And that's why you hired her. She's the professional.
Thanks. So exactly. So those clients that come to me, matchmaking clients that are like, I get it. And I know you're capable and I'm here because I know you're going to make it happen. I'm like, sweet. Let me do my job.
I'm glad you said that. Those truly are the best clients, the
Right.
clients that believe in what they're hiring in the first place.
Yeah.
And I think those are the most successful too, right?
Mm-hmm.
The more open-minded, the more opportunity-minded, the more emotionally available they are, the better the result.
Absolutely.
And also I think that, that client that is willing to let the artist be the artist is ideal. But then also what the people don't realize is when you are investing in a matchmaker, you're helping manifest that love that you're looking for by putting your money where your mouth is. Like, I want this. And I'm all in. And those people that are all in, manifest the things that they want in their life in other ways. And I had a client that, while working with me, met somebody, but not directly through me. But I'm very, very happy to take that credit that while we were working together, he found the person he's still with. And hopefully I get to officiate their wedding, because that's also something that I can do and have done.
Tony, you officiate weddings as well?
Yes, Queen.
That is so cool. That's so cool. I'm going to match him. I'm going to catch him. I'm going to marry him.
That's actually something I have in my contract is, if you get married, I will officiate your wedding for free.
That's awesome.
Oh,
And how many
awesome.
weddings have you attended?
I have officiated one wedding.
Nice. That's nice. That must be mine. That's like such a feeling to know that you had a hand in it and now you're bearing witness to this union. That's so beautiful. Oh, I would be crying all over the place. I would be.
I had another couple that they did get married. I didn't officiate their wedding, but I did introduce them. And they found separate ways 5 years later. But they're still good friends. But still, that was a matchmaking success.
Definitely. Yeah.
Good.
So Tony, how can our listeners find you?
Thank you so much. Number one, denverscupid.com. The website, and then also social media is also Denver's Cupid, and that's Facebook, Instagram. I'm also on LinkedIn. So you name it, but denverscupid.com is the best way. And I also tell people, stalk the hell out of me, because I am an open book and I want you to see what you're getting. And I also tell people I've been in Denver since 2000, and I have everything to lose by not being true to my word. And I think that's also something that matchmakers bring to the table is credibility. They have a track record, and if you Google Denver's Cupid, you'll see all kinds of customer reviews. And I will always work my very best. And I think that's also a curse of matchmakers, and you two could probably agree that we wake up thinking of our clients and their happiness, and that's a curse and a perfect thing. It's like, okay, where's so-and-so and where are they at, and all those kinds of things. So that's also something that we bring to the table, is that passion.
Absolutely. People really agree with that sentiment.
Absolutely.
Tony, it's been a pleasure.
Absolutely pleasure. Absolute pleasure.
Y'all are totes gorge, and I love your background. It's a beautiful glittery background like you.
Thank you, Tony.
That was so sweet.
Yeah, heart, Tony. All right. Yeah. All right, listeners. So we hope you got a lot of good stuff from today's podcast, and we'll see you all next week. Big hugs. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.